Hey everybody, this is Mike, and I'll be doing a Amdapor Keep guide. This was normally I run these with Duty Finder, I just queue up solo, but this time a couple of guys from my server were looking for just a healer. They were 3 of 4, so I figured, hey, why not? I'll give them a hand. A little bit about my gear. This is my third 50. I have my monk was the first one, and then I leveled a warrior, and then this is my third, the white mage, and I've got almost the full AK gear set for it, the Strategos or something like that I think it's called. I think I'm just missing the helmet. I think I got I have the necklace and a ring as well. I don't think I have the earring, but I think I did I bought the dark light. I think I bought the dark light at this point. I think I had the dark light, the earring, the bracelet, and the other ring. And then I'm using the Serpent Sergeant's wand, I believe is what it's called. It's the Grand Company, whatever the highest level Grand Company weapon is. It's not fantastic, but it's not horrible, I guess. And then I have the Dark Light Shield. I actually got lucky and got that on a Wanderer's Palace run, I think a day or two ago, something like that. So pretty decently geared. The rest of this group has just got crazy gear. I didn't realize how well geared they were gonna be until I jumped into the instance and saw. I know the Bard's plus relic +1. The Black Mage is relic +1. I think this tank has some AF2 gear. I know he's got his relic. I don't think it's +1. Maybe it is. I can't really tell. I can't see if it's glowing or not. So yeah. So this is it. Couple things to note. I think this is a pretty good setup. I think there's the only thing we're really missing would be a melee DPS for the limit breaks, but I think we do just fine. Again, these guys are so well geared that it didn't really matter. I did a little DPS in this run. The tank is so well geared, it's hard. He just barely ever takes damage, and I use Stone Skin a lot. I like that skill. It gets more efficient as your tank has more health. It blocks, I believe it's 18%, or it gives a shield. Sorry, it gives a shield for 18% of your target's health. So I think this tank's got around, oh gosh, what is it? I can't see him. I'm looking at a really miniaturized resolution. But I think he's got around 6K. It's probably not quite that much, but again, as the tank gets more health, it gets more efficient. And I don't know, I just like using it. It's really good for certain skills, or when you're anticipating a big hit. Wanderer's Palace comes to mind when everyone's grudge hits for quite a bit, especially if the boss has quite a few stacks. So if you can be prepared for that skill, you're gonna win. That's kind of the key to that. I think I might have timed out a skill wrong there. I think I timed out a Stone Skin just a little bit too late. And I want to say that I got hate on number 2 and number 3 there. But just so you know, these pulls, I think being that the game has been out for, what is it, two months now? Somewhere around there. Everybody's got a pretty good idea of what monsters need to go down first, or what mobs need to die quick. Back there, the beginning of this poll, it was number 1. It's a little caster. He's got a little induction time there, a cast bar for Well, he summons an ad if you don't interrupt him. So, like I said, most people know to get him down first in the tank. If you got one that knows what he's doing, should be interrupting that skill. The other two, one of them does an AOE and he can hurt. I think it's like a warrior mob because he does overpower. Overpower can hit pretty decently, but it's pretty easy to get out of. That's actually a really long induction time, so it's not too difficult. And this Dullahan, I believe, is the only time I actually time out a holy properly to stop its frontal cone AoE. I always try to do what I can. Maybe it was the other one. It might have been the other one. You know what? I think it was. I think it was that first one that we killed. Got a little behind, but that's okay. So there's that was number one casting and trying to summon, and I think it was the paladin that stopped. And there's overpower that I actually ended up eating, even though I thought I was out of it in time. I was not, apparently. And it actually did kind of look like that paladin had his +1. It kind of had a close-up there of him just to try to see, but I don't know. Anyways, this courtyard is kind of actually one of my pet peeves, especially when I'm playing a DPS character, or my monk specifically. I always like to kill those Dullahans and leave the hippogriff on the right side. I like having the extra room to move around, and I don't like to have to worry about being fat and pulling a Dullahan when it wasn't, expected. I think a lot of tanks now are trying to pull that area differently, and I just don't think it's efficient or as efficient. The Dullahans go down so fast. I mean, especially when you're even semi-geared. You don't even have to be as crazy geared as these guys to make quick work of those. So I don't really feel it's necessary to try and avoid them. I really think it's more trouble than it's worth. For this particular boss, you got the lunatic fanatic here that we're trying to take down here. These guys do, like I said, they do a pretty good job here. It goes pretty quick. But the lunatic fanatic there summons this flare, and the flare is the actual boss. The lunatic priest or whatever is not actually the boss. But you definitely, if you're in here, you're not familiar with it, you want to kill that guy first. Make sure he goes down as fast as possible before you switch to the flare. Usually, if you're the tank, you've got enough time, or you've built up enough hate on the priest to just go ahead and switch to the flare when it spawns. I think honestly that priest doesn't even really hit that hard. So even if a DPS was to pull aggro at some point, it probably would turn out just fine. One thing to note: eventually, I believe the tank does pull this guy to the side of the room, but as the fight goes on, the flare animates the stone golems in the room. The little ones go down pretty quick. There's some little details with the small golems that can make the fight go quite a bit more smoothly. Especially, I think, if you're playing a dragoon or a monk, because you've got some decent stuns and you're a little bit more tanky than, say, a bard or a black mage, in that the little golems actually do 2 skills. One is called Obliterate. It's just an AoE, and if you can interrupt that, that's going to make it a little easier on the healer. And their other skill is a line-based AoE, line-based skill, where you definitely don't want to get hit by that because that really hurts. So if you can actually tank him with its back facing the rest of your team, that's the ideal way to tank him, and then you can walk past him to avoid the line-based skill. So that was that. For that first boss, went down really fast. This is one of the faster groups I've been in. These guys have, like I said, they've got great gear, so everything is dying real quick. I believe this is the first pull where these statues start coming to life. Again, now that we're into the 2-month range of the game's life, I think most people know where the statues come to life. But if it's your first time in here, this is the first set. I'll try to keep letting you know when those are coming up. I don't find that they're too disruptive. There's one trickier set up ahead where you can actually really pull a lot of monsters if you don't do it quite right. But it's not too difficult. So this is the first, I believe these are the first ads that can be slept in the entire instance. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe the hound lights are the only mobs that can actually be slept, or the only trash mobs that can be slept in this place. There might be some more. I don't know if the evil eyes or the stolen coast or whatever you want to call it. I don't even know the full names for a lot of these mobs in here. But like I said, as far as I know, these hound lights are the only ones that can be. But again, feel free to correct me if I'm wrong. This is only about my, I don't know, 3rd or 4th time in here with my healer, so I'm not, actually I feel like I'm kind of getting spoiled. I think I duty findered the first 3 runs, and then this is my 4th, and it seems like every time I've been placed in the duty finder, I've just had these ridiculously geared people. I think I did do one Wanderer's Palace with a tank it was his first time, and that was a bit more painful, but we did it. And I think, yeah, that day it was actually right before one of the maintenance patches, so we had wiped once on the Tonberry King, and I was a little bit worried that we weren't going to be able to finish it in time, but we ended up pulling it off. I think the DPS in the group didn't know about the rage stacks, I guess is the mechanic for the Tonberry King. And this, I have no idea how that guy pulled that Dullahan, and he was as baffled as I was. I think we did a pretty good job of hugging the wall there, but I don't know. That was bizarre. So I think he makes a comment, and I was like, yeah, I don't know either. Yeah, he's like, how? I was like, I don't know. But again, so like I said earlier, those Dullahans go down so fast, it doesn't even matter. You know, what's 10 seconds? I think I passed on most of this gear. Like I said, I've been through here so many times on my monk and my warrior, marauder, whatever, and it's only about I want to say my 4th time on the cleric, but I've got almost all the armor possible out here. And I will say that I'm missing a ton of the jewelry. It's kind of lame that all of the jewelry for all the classes comes out of one chest. Seems a bit silly, but hey, you know what? You gotta spend your philosophy stones on something, right? Might as well get some jewelry. Well, I guess the armor pieces are pretty nice too, but I always found that it's pretty easy to get the armor out of here, especially with if you farm this stuff as much as I have. I prefer this to Wanderers. A lot of people like the Wanderers, especially if you've got the right group set up, because Wanderer's Palace can be done really fast. Again, like I said, if you get the right group set up, I think that place can be done in 15 minutes or so. But you got to be pretty well geared to do that, though, too. Pretty well geared indeed. Wow, I missed one of the statues. The ones that turn into enemies. There's a little ways back there. The pole right before that Dullahan was one of the statues. Basically right after the hallway where the Dullahan paths back and forth, and you pick up the jewelry. That's where I think 2 of them pop out at you, and then this pull, there's 3 of them. And this one was the one I was talking about, where you kind of want to be careful because there's actually another group of 3 monsters. I think it's two Brontours and a Houndlight. And if you get too close while you're trying to spawn the statues, you'll end up with 6 monsters. And you know, if it's a couple of people's first time in here, or first couple of times, and they're not very well geared, that can be kind of a challenge. Possibly a wipe. But, we've done it. I mean, there's a couple of times I've run it with my free company, and we'll pull all 6 and do just fine. But I think those guys are pretty well geared. I'd say they're in the top, I don't know, 75% of the geared players. So yeah, we are finally coming up on the wall. Here we a lot of people just skip the 2 mobs there on the left. You got a Brontor and another Houndlight. You just got to be careful. That Brontar, if he's a little too close there, he'll aggro and you'll end up with 3 here, which again, not that big of a deal. You know, worst case scenario is you get all 3 and you just make quick work of them. If you're a class that has a stun, actually I should say, let me back up. If you do get these pulls, I always go for the dull hand, and that goes for any of the pulls in this area. I think the dull hand's one of the more dangerous. He needs to be a priority target. That AoE is very, very big, and it hits really, really hard. So I always make that. You know, if you're pulling, you know, 3 or more, he needs to go down first, in my opinion. Second priority, I would say, is the succubus. Those are coming up. I'll show you those. All right, so the wall. Important things to learn about the wall is his attack patterns. He does murder. I think it's called murder hole. It's I don't think there's any rhyme or reason to how the wall actually attacks your group. It seems like he kind of just targets anybody and uses that skill. And then he's got these purple puddles that he puts on the ground, the void ooze or something like that, I believe it's called. And he puts them in the same pattern every time. It goes center, and then outside, center, outside, and then he uses a skill called repel. So here's the inside, and then I move to the inside, or then I move to the inside to avoid the outside too. And now I'll move again here to the outside to avoid the inner ooze. And then I move back in, and then now he should be doing a repel. Repel is the dangerous skill that you really got to be prepared for. It knocks you straight back from where you're facing, so you always want to be looking him head on, and that way you won't get knocked off the edges, because that'll kill you. So for this, it looked like our strategy was to just go all out on the boss. We didn't have a single target limit break. I think that makes burning the wall much easier. If your DPS is slow, or say you've wiped on this, if you don't have a limit break, I definitely recommend killing the bees. I would definitely talk about which one you're gonna target first, or if you can get a mark on the first bee. I tend to go for the left one. I don't know why. It's probably because the first time I was ever in here, that was the suggestion, was to kill the left one. So I've kind of always stuck with that. And I always, when I dodge the ooze and whatnot, I'm always on the left side. So there's something about me and that left side, I guess. It's kind of just the way I learned it, and it's kind of the way I stuck to it, I guess. So this is the third and final. This is the last stretch, I guess. This is where the succubus are, or the succubi. I don't know what's the plural version of succubus? I don't know. But she's cast on us. You see the big void. I think it's called the void fire. She can really lob those puppies from a long ways away. Again, back to the wall. I think the wall is actually, in my opinion, the most difficult of the bosses in here. Just because it all comes down to execution. You know, if you're not paying attention to the skill rotation the boss is doing, you'll find yourself flying off the edge. And every once in a while, if I'm not paying attention, I'll still do it too. Like you'd think, you know, after I've probably run this place 50, 60 times, something like that. And every once in a while, probably every 1 in 10 times, I'll go flying. I won't be paying attention. I'll go flying off the edge. So, and maybe one day I'll get her down. So, yeah, we just killed the first succubus. Again, my priority targets in this dungeon are always Dullahan first, and then succubus. You typically won't. There isn't any time where you'll kill, like have to choose between the two. A lot of people like to pull her. That one right there. I had it targeted there for a second. A lot of people like to pull it back when you're doing this Dullahan, or you know, when you're over on this side of the wall. I think that's fine as long as you keep moving. I think you actually end up wasting a lot of time if you try to wait for it to get into position, because the succubus isn't always standing where you can even pull it. So I think a lot of people will just diddle around until they can, and I don't think that's needed at all. Her real only threat is void fire, and if you can't dodge that, you're I don't know what to say. You might have some other issues. Thought that was kind of cool. Some of my stuff started spirit binding right here, and I think I ended up right after this fight with all 6 pieces of Strategos gear spirit bound at the same time. Which just goes to show you that I basically had all this stuff before I even started running this on my white mage. So yeah, so back to the pulling this area. I'm a big fan of keeping moving. I think this stuff is so easy that, and maybe it's because I've done it so many times, but I think it's easy. I don't think you need to sit around and pull the succubus by yourself and spend 5 minutes waiting for her to get into position. I think if you just keep slugging on, you'll be just fine. Again, if you can't avoid the AoEs that she's tossing down, I think your party's got some other problems. But hey, you know what? Whatever works for you. If you feel you need to do it, go right ahead. I get a little impatient, especially like I said, I think I've run this so many times now that it's becoming second nature. And here, this bull here, the Dullahan was, he was way back around the corner, so I'm looking for him, but I'm not seeing him. I wanted to make sure that I wasn't standing there and going to aggro him when he came walking around the corner. Here he comes. One thing I'll say, so when I first started running this game, when I first started running this instance, monsters didn't drop money or much. I think it was like 1 gil each time. I'm kind of torn on whether or not I like that. Here's the succubus trying to bomb us again, and that is crazy, the range on that skill. Yeah, like I said, I'm kind of torn on whether or not that's a good thing. I'm worried that it's going to cause inflation, but I guess I haven't. What I really should do is repair my gear to 100%. You know, check how much money I've got when I come in here, and then run the whole instance and see see how much my repair bill costs. You know, and if I'm ahead, then I think I'd be kind of concerned. I don't know. I think SE's done a pretty good job with the economy in this game. I think they're doing a great job with banning bots. I had some. I was not confident right when the game first came out. There, I was seeing quite a few bots and a lot of people using automated programs to basically teleport right to mob locations and farming materials. One particular instance, I saw a guy that was teleporting to the Bane Mites and I think it's called the North Shroud. Those are the ones that drop Dynamite Webs. And Dynamite Webs are one of the, I don't know how to say, I guess, cock blocks of the Weaver, or for the Weaver. So you need a lot of that stuff to level. And there's more than one way to get them, but I think the most efficient is to just farm Bane Mites. And like I said, I saw a guy that was just teleporting right to mobs, killing them, and teleporting right onto the next. It was actually really frustrating because I was trying to level my Weaver at the time, and with somebody that can teleport right to the mobs as they spawn, it's basically impossible to get the first hit, you know, to get the first tag off and thus get loot. So that guy was really making me lose some confidence. But you know, I haven't seen any bots in the last I don't even know, maybe month. So I think SE's doing a pretty good job. So yeah, there's a tangent if I ever seen one. And here we just cleaned up the rest of the monsters there, killed the double hands, and now we are on to the boss. I think we just do this crazy fast. So this walkthrough is not going to be. This is not going to be your average group, but it's pretty close. I mean, the aspects or the mechanics are still there, so I'll try to go through them. This is generally where I don't think I've ever seen a tank actually pull the boss to anywhere but the back right corner. The reason for doing that is the boss does a skill called Imminent Catastrophe in the center of the room, and it does AoE damage if you don't line of sight it using the statues. So that's where I'm at right now. I'm actually sitting right there next to the statue. I think I'm in perfect position to not get hit by it. I may move. We'll see. It doesn't look like it. Maybe a little bit. I think the tank actually does come a little bit closer to us too, just to make sure that he doesn't get hit by it. And that was the skill right there. But if you're standing out here in the open like where I'm at right now, you are gonna get smoked by that. Depending on your gear, I don't know if it's a one-shot for everybody or not. I think our bard in my free company still gets one shot by it, but I'm not sure. Like I said, I don't know between the different classes how much damage you'll actually take from it. I don't think my monk gets one shot. I think I end up with 25% or so left. So, but my monk is really geared, so that's probably not the greatest example. So after the first imminent catastrophe, the statue in the far, like as you walk into the room, it's the rear left statue spawns into an ad, and you're gonna want to kill that right away. It does some auto attacks, and then it'll actually do an AoE too that kind of can hurt, especially if a couple of people get caught in it. So you're gonna want to take it down right away. The only catch is if you're a melee toon, you don't want to run to it, because if the tank, depending on how the tank has the boss positioned, you can eat a big tail swipe. So, and that is huge. That almost covers the entire room too. It's crazy how big they made that. But and that was the final final mechanic of the game. After the second ad spawns, the boss will make a little laser that goes to one person. That person wants to run away from the group because after a specified amount of time, it drops a bomb on the ground, and the bomb just does AoE damage. So that is AK. That is everything. That's all the boss mechanics and whatnot. So I hope this video was helpful, and have a good and safe run.